not claim that there was any skullduggery about this or whatever.
You had a live stream and didn't tell us.
Yeah, exactly. If you
It's an
live
evil
streamed it and
plot.
nobody watched, did it even happen? That's the
Yeah.
real philosophical
It's an
questions
evil plot.
that people get to. All right. Okay. Well, I guess for people watching the VOD, really quick summary, but I don't want to spend, this is not a podcast episode and I don't want to do a lot of, chatter or whatever, but I mostly want to just get into it, get to the core of the issue. But basically the point is that I have seen recently in the BCH scene that people have got the idea, and there's been a little bit of frustration and so on welling up, that BCH just needs to get on and do its own thing. And we need to stop wasting time worrying about BTC or worrying about Shiba Inu or worrying about any other coin or fiat or government or complaining. Just forget all that. We need to figure out what our scene needs and harness the fact that the positive side to all this frustration and energy is that BCH has the most passionate and most committed community in crypto by far, by a huge mile. It's maybe not the biggest, but it is the most dedicated. And so really all we need to do is just get that horsepower basically on track with at least some level of coordination. Obviously, this is not about creating one of those crappy foundations or all these stupid stuff that people do where it turns into money grabbing and power politics. Nothing like that. Instead, it's just about people who voluntarily want to be a part of it, who are already doing stuff in the scene, and there is a lot of them, to check in with each other a little bit and say, these are the things that we can sort of agree need to be done, and who's going to do them. And it's pretty much as simple as that. So I've got George, who I've had before on the podcast. So we have a bit of a, working relationship already going. And also he's pretty enthusiastic and passionate about this stuff as well too. So a perfect candidate for it to come in and start this off with me. And, we'll see how it goes. So I've written one document that I had some ideas and he's done the same. So we're going to start by just walking through what was in those two things and how we can maybe reconcile them, and then start mapping it out on sort of a visual sense, because a picture tells 1,000 words. So that's pretty much my summary and intro, and everyone can read the document for the rest. Any thoughts, George, before we just get going on it, really?
Well, yeah, I think, we need to have a conversation about marketing and growing BCH. And major kudos, Jeremy, for for setting this up and putting this thought into it. It's awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, it's established. So I picked the name as well. Maybe that's something you're here to vote. And the first, well, there's not really any voting, but the first thing. So I picked the name. I was originally going to call it BCH Building Blocks, because I kind of like the idea that we could be mining projects sort of into reality as a kind of building thing. I like that you're always talking about, let's keep building Bitcoin Cash. I really like that slogan. I don't think that's not the slogan for like the general public, but for the people in the scene who are kind of doing the heavy lifting. I love that. So I did simplify it from BCH Building Blocks. I thought maybe the blocks thing, maybe it was a bit confusing when I thought it, shorter is simpler. BCH Builders is kind of what I went with instead. So I don't know if you have any preference about that, but
yeah, it works.
To the point, everyone knows what that's going to be about. Obviously, you're going to be producing stuff. And yeah, okay, so basically in this document that I did, pretty much started off by saying, yeah, look, here's a couple of examples of people. They're even a bit disjointed, these examples, but it was pretty much just, there's a bit of a vibe of everyone getting frustrated and everything like that. What is BCH Builders? All right, so we're going to make some stuff and get it out to the crypto ecosystem. Pretty much it's got a bit of a marketing focus, because I think that's what you're big on, that's what I'm big on, and also because I don't think that the problem that BCH has in particular, if I was going to pick another strength of the community, then the protocol dev is actually very, very, very strong, much, much stronger than almost any other coin. Got multiple node ecosystem, implementations, got stuff like the Bit Balancer coming out now, got got the chip process, and there's teams that are working on that. Everyone's mostly in accord after a number of painful forks and wars over it. There's a good roadmap. The problem with BCH definitely is not that the actual core protocol is not working. So I don't really want to fiddle around with that. It's more about the fact that the whole rest of the world is not aware that this is one of the best crypto protocols and getting involved. So it's sort of got a bit of a marketing, focus on it. Not that that's going to be the only thing we can do. There will be a lot of technology and so on and so forth involved too. But as a kind of, marketing idea, the sort of can be the core of it. Pretty much that we're not going to do, any of this stuff that people have done with foundations, central bodies, clubs, memberships, organizations. I think a major problem with a lot of that stuff is basically money, like getting money involved. Like as soon as you have a membership that people need to pay for, that's Pandora's box instantly, because then who holds the money and who gets to spend it and when and why and how. And okay, crypto has, multi-sig, and there's different ways you can do it, but it just always devolves into being about the money. It's not about the money. It's not against the money. If people who are involved in this in any way want to do their own deals or make things commercial or whatever, obviously it's capitalism, get on and do it. But that's not like sanctioned or encouraged directly in this, which is mostly just about coordinating and talking through things. Obviously, I put in a little section here about the values because the community would immediately think this is going to be a foundation. So yeah, guys, we get it. It's voluntary. It's cooperative. Like it's done by the community. Transparency is going to be key. I think that's another big part of it. The more I've thought about it, the more I think, well, like a blockchain, just it's got privacy features, but the way it works is because all the information is publicly verifiable. So hopefully by doing the live streams and having the VODs up, that's kind of my version of that. And so we're gonna. Do you think what maybe every fortnight or every 3 weeks? I thought might be a good amount of time. Kind of give it a regular cadence. I don't know what your schedule is like, but okay,
maybe monthly.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe every 3 weeks or a month. I guess we'll see after this. Like, when's just the next time? 2 weeks is like what people do in a company usually. That kind of inspired this, but I think that might be a bit short because we're gonna if you have that too regular, like it's not everybody's full-time job, obviously. So you kind of need to have. You don't want it to just be, oh, I haven't really made any progress from last time, or whatever.
People need time. Yeah.
You don't want it to be too far apart, because then everybody just kind of feels like, look, where's the momentum, or where's the like regularity? But if it's too close together, then it's just kind of like, I only got 30% of the way towards something I could kind of demo or show off, right? So yeah, I think I sort of think 3 weeks might be good instead of a month, but we can try one or the other. That's fine.
Sure.
So yeah, we're just the main game is this roadmap, which we've got here with absolutely nothing on it, but we'll fill that up with some stuff. And pretty much this being the first meeting, we'll figure out what's going to be on it, and then hopefully for the next one, it'll be a combo of do we still have the right things on it, and what have we done? What's the progress kind of being made? No money is involved, like I said before. What are we solving? Okay, we sort of mentioned a little bit about that at the start. Although I probably also good to bring up that people, I hope it can sort of build a bit of energy in the sense that when somebody comes into BCH, if they have in themselves the idea of, let me just start on whatever, then that's great. And they'll start doing that. But that's actually kind of rare. A lot of the time people will show up being like, oh, I'm interested. Give me something to get started on. Where's the like hook point? And obviously, if we have a lot of people who are sort of already in business or with projects, then if somebody finds this, then they'll be very easily able to be referred into whatever part of that they can help with, or suggested as to other stuff that it's like, well, we would love to do this, but nobody's doing it yet. You can do it if you want. I don't know. we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But yeah, jump in anytime. It's pretty unstructured, you know.
Well, I think you have a good point. Like, it's best not to get too much into the protocol development with this stuff. Although, like, like, so you mentioned like chips. Like, I think that the protocol guys could use some help with chips. Like, one of them asked me to run a chip, and I just haven't really had time to get into it. You know, so I don't know. I mean, there's bitcoincashresearch.org. That's wide open. Anybody can participate there. And yeah, I just wanted to say, like, you made a couple of points about how there should be no money involved. But it's kind of curious because Bitcoin Cash is money, right? So at the end of the day, I mean, I think there has to be some money, right? Because also saying, well, you can only come in and build stuff with your own resources might be a little bit constricting, right? Because we want to build stuff that can address a mass market, right? It's not enough just to build more hobbyist stuff or tinker some more, which is of course all great. I mean, I'm not saying anything against it, but I'm just saying, like, if we wanna reverse the decline out of the top 20 on CMC, if we want to see the price move up, if we want to see an influx of new talent in the community, if we want to ultimately onboard the world and flip in BTC or whatever, just realize the vision, like, to build the kind of stuff that you need to get audiences in, you need money. So so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, okay. I guess we'll need to see it sort of play out to see how it's going. But I try to sort of explain it in here, and I think it's going to be hard to sort of until we see it in practice, because I don't know that this approach has really been tried before. But I'm trying to sort of draw a really fine line where what I don't want it to be is that this group or this meeting becomes like something where, well, maybe in the end, I don't know, actually, maybe it would turn into like Shark Tank or something, where we've got all the BCH people coming in, giving pitches of like, I'm going to build this project, like sort of like Flipstarter, except, live rather than, with a load of, sort of like trying to get interest on Reddit or whatever, but instead just like the people who are there with the money ready to go, bam, and like some accountability mechanism already in place. So it might turn into that. I mean,
that actually sounds like fun.
yeah. Well, that would be pretty cool as well too. We could call, I don't know, what would we call it? The BCH Tiger Pit or something like that. We can't call it the Shark Tank, but that would be something that that's even a marketing thing. We should make it. We could make it a show. It could be like the BCH Shark Tank. That was Mark Cuban. He would bloody love that, I bet.
Yeah,
but. Okay, so that's one angle that it could go in. Maybe that could even be a separate thing. But the line I'm trying to draw is maybe that there was not. But the point is, there's not a pot of money that is controlled sort of by an organization, or that I have one of the keys to, and you have one of the keys to, and three other people, and blah blah blah. Like, that's just a disaster. The point is that if I have some money and you have some money and somebody rocks up to this meeting and then pitches it, if I like it, I can talk to them afterwards and say, hey, look, let me get you some money, or we can do a deal about that. Or if you like it, you can do that. Or we could, I guess it is kind of turning into Shark Tank again, but that's sort of a thing, right? Like, well, I guess Shark Tank is a pretty good analogy, because that's the whole point of that show, is that they're putting in their own money, right? So none of the Shark Tank is not investing in the viewers. The sharks are putting their own money in, which they can kind of collaborate amongst themselves if they want to do it. So that's kind of
we could also help them run flip starters. Like, people contact me all the time, ask me for help running a flip starter. And that could be good,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this is the more I this is already working. We've already seen we gotta rebrand this. We gotta call it the Bitcoin Cash. It needs a better name. It needs a name with B, like I don't know. There's must
Bitch
be an
tank.
animal. Yeah, the bitch tank.
No, that was not good.
No, there's gotta be like, I don't know, like the bulldog, I don't know, arena or something like that. I don't know. We'll think about it. It'll
Yeah,
come
we'll
to
figure
us.
out something.
There's some kind of animal that begins with a B that's suitably like fearsome or whatever. So
Or we could also go with like your Spartan thing, that Spartan video you did, and maybe work off, because there's that little pass, and like the Spartans are like defending it, right? And so the new guys, like, they have to come in and they have to pass that filter, right? They have to get past that. I don't know if that works or not.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, that sort of makes them seem like newcomers, seem like the Persian horde, that's the Persian horde, that's the BTC crowd, that's the no coiners, that's all of them, right? That's that's why that video, there's that shot where they're like walking out of the pass because they've got the small numbers, but like once they had the momentum, it didn't even matter that they could get surrounded or whatever because they were already like pushing them back, right? So I don't know, but yeah, maybe there's something okay, well, quick side tangent then is I just want to throw in here, like, I think that Spartan thing, I really think there's something to that, where, I don't know, it just wraps up a lot of the values of the community to me. It makes perfect sense. Like, the Persians couldn't defeat the Spartans until they had Ephialtes the trader, which is exactly like Bitcoin, couldn't be defeated until all this crap with Thamos and whatever that got it way off track. And the Spartans just they're the same as the BCH community. They're a minority that just go absolutely to the death, and like that makes them basically unstoppable no matter like what the sort of odds are, because everybody just understands, look, if we're all doing the right thing, that it doesn't matter
how can we go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was just kind of like the Spartan, there's that scene, for anybody who's seen the movie, where he shows up and the other like Greeks show up and he says, "Oh, look, why have you got so few soldiers?" And he's like, tells them like, "Look, I've got 300 soldiers." And he's like, "You've got a baker and a farmer and like all these useless people. So actually I have more soldiers," It's pretty much like that, right? Which is, it's like other coins like Shiba Inu or whatever. Like 99% of the people in those communities are just there for the 5 minutes, right? They'll defect to any other coin instantly. But BCH is not like that. People have picked BCH and will not be convinced to go to any other coin under any circumstances, basically. So that's where the kind of the rub is. So anyway, okay, maybe we can have some sort of Spartan branding to it. I don't know enough of Greek history to sort of figure it out, but that's okay. That could be something else. So then let's just get to the bottom here. So basically, in future, obviously this one, people did not have any forewarning, but if they want to get involved, they can contact me. I've got the Reddit and the Twitter links here, but there's Telegram as well. I guess we can update this afterwards or whatever. I don't know if I gave you the sharing permissions to write in this, George, but I should.
I think so.
But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you can add into there, and then we'll start doing the roadmap in a second. All right, we kind of talked about this 2 or 3 weeks. Cool. So then let's get on to having a look. So with all that in mind, let's have a bit of a look at your thing that you did, which was kind of similar to what I've written, but also kind of different because you were a bit more focused on some actual action points, which could maybe be the sort of foundation of the roadmap. But yeah, maybe just give me, I guess, but the viewers as well, if they're watching the VOD, a bit of a rundown of what's the thinking here. What was this all about? You sort of had 5 points. That was pretty clear. Just run through it a bit.
Yeah. So, in just a few words, I've developed this action plan. The idea is to analyze what BCH most needs to kind of get back on track, hopefully get back into the top 5 on CMC, have all those things I mentioned before, realize the vision of Bitcoin as world scale peer-to-peer cash. Because I do think that we have fallen off the train a little bit there. We've lost some momentum. I think everybody knows it. So I think the most important thing that we can do is to build a vibrant ecosystem of app builders. So basically, we need to think about, like, it's nice to have a decent wallet like Bitcoin.com, even though I have constant issues with it lately. It's or whatever BCH wallet you want to use. But the thing is, you can't just go around to every different niche audience or use case and say, yeah, you can use it for this. Trust me, just go ahead. Like, you have to think about all of the kinds of problems that BCH can solve that fiat can't, right? Where we have an actual advantage over fiat. And then we need to attract people who are going to build those things, right? Because we don't know. We don't even know. We don't have the context in all these different situations for the problems and challenges that people are experiencing with money. And so we need to attract those people, and we need to help them build apps to solve those problems. And so, among other things, we need infrastructure. We don't have an infrastructure service with a paid service level agreement. I builders contact me all the time, like, hey, this infrastructure is falling apart. This doesn't work. This, whatever. We need a FOSS wallet, a new FOSS wallet. Or, maybe it can be a fork of something that already exists, like Edge or Coinbase Wallet or Electronic Cash. And, those kinds of things. Basically, we need like 10,000 people building apps on Bitcoin Cash, because solving all those little problems is going to help us, onboard a bunch of users. And priority number 2, we need to market BCH at a high level. There's a bunch of things in there, but basically, you can see marketing campaigns out there for, Shiba Inu, Doge, Solana, Terra, all these different things. Well, we don't have that, and this is not referring to onboarding. This is referring to just onboarding BCH kind of as an investment, or, just as a coin to hold, or that kind of stuff. And I think the number 3 priority, there are 2 more after. I don't think we need to get into them because they're, lower priority, is to expand ground adoption. Just like the work that we've done in Venezuela this year, the work that Townsville in Australia, Townsville, is that what it's called? And the work that they've done in Bangkok, etc. We need to have that in 50, 60, 100 cities across the globe, because it helps us onboard new people, more on-chain transactions. It fits in with the whole remittances thing, and it can serve as a laboratory. If we have like 5,000 users in Kuala Lumpur, then that means that if we can onboard somebody who's building an app for that market, then they immediately have a laboratory of people in which to test it. So I think those are really the top 3 priorities that we need to work on for 2022.
And then community cohesion and profitable products. So these are kind of byproducts, and this is sort of similar stuff to what I was already talking about in my one as well too there. So basically, when I was listening to that, so let's just start this as a bit of this is an experiment. I haven't used Figma a lot, but let's try this. All right. Okay, let me make this a bunch bigger and get a label on there. So I was kind of thinking it in a few different streams there. So the first one is the app builders, which is really infrastructure. I think it's really the best infrastructure.
Well, I mean, app builders need infrastructure, but it's really the app builders that we need.
Well, I guess the app builders also help because they make and maintain and update the infrastructure as well. So I guess it's a two-way street.
No, actually, we need to have the infra in order to get them. I mean, it is a little bit chicken and egg. But the thing is, a lot of builders, I don't know if you've seen this, I see this all the time. A lot of builders come and they're like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? And there's not documentation and, the test nets and, things break. It's very hard for a new builder to get into building stuff on BCH. And there are services out there like fullstack.cash that will give you ready-made infrastructure or a block. You can just plug right into. But the thing is not to cast aspersions, but just not sure how scalable that is right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it sort of seems to me like we need visibility. All these things are going to be interrelated, of course, right? But we need sort of visibility specifically to these people, because they, this is like coders like me or whatever, that they hang out in certain places, right, where you can find a ton of them, and they're already sort of drawn to crypto because there's a lot of money and it's exciting and new and they love it, right? So there's already plenty of those people floating around. We just need to channel a few more of them into BCH. So we need to get some visibility. We also need to make the information, that's the first part of it, because that's definitely the first thing I do when I look at it. Like if I'm going to use it at work, I'm going to use a new open source library. The very first thing I do is read the README or Google, what are the documentation. And then I'm expecting to see a Docusaurus site that has get started, click this link, follow this, npm install, bam, you're rocking, right? So we need obviously some sort of central point to that. And I think you and I both have had semi-similar ideas about this, where you have bitcoincash.site and I have bitcoincashpodcast.com, and we both are sort of starting to collect a bit of a kind of all-in-one, like, this is what you need to do. This is something I think the community has really struggled with as well, which is obviously why I started trying to fix it. But a lot of people have done similar things where it's kind of like, look, here's where you need to go for your code, and here's where you need to go if you're just a casual person who's interested, and here's where you need to read about the history, and here's where the community discussion boards are, and all those things. But because we have about like there's bch.info, and there's like different collaborators and aggregators and all that, but I feel like nowhere is there a really just one sort of cohesive set where it just has everything from start to finish, that you can come in, and if you know nothing about it, you can start on the start here page and, okay, what is cryptocurrency? Why Bitcoin? And I do want to make a series. I have an idea for doing that, about that, and then make some YouTube videos and kind of produce all of that. But then that would be also the on-ramp that then at the end it says, obviously, oh, if you want to find out more, read this. And then here's where you can join the discussion in the community. Here's where, if you're an engineer, you can get involved. Like some sort of, central point, some link that you can give people, that then it all kind of flows from there, no matter what level of interest they're kind of at. So yeah.
I would say though, we don't only want to try and attract existing programmers, especially existing programmers in the crypto space. We also want to attract new people who are just learning. A project like mainnet.cash is kind of directed at that kind of audience, and it could really power that, I think.
Cool. All right. So we've got a couple little sub items here. So we can have so some sort of like mentoring program for devs as well. That would be pretty cool. Where because there's so many people who are, 18 years old or whatever, they finished high school and they figure out, I got to learn JavaScript. That's what I did. I know there's a lot of people, you did as well too, right? I know you did some coding and stuff, right, for a while. Like, it's not your main thing now, right? But a lot of people go through that sort of phase, right? And this is a pretty good combo. Like, so maybe even this is a mentoring / like a sort of internships or like grants type what's the name of those things, where they basically give you a little bit of money to like
stipend.
Like a sort of scholarship type of thing, that like universities and CIT and stuff runs, like that kind of thing. So okay, so we can have something like that.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah, get in there.
So I remember like a year and a half ago, and I think this Telegram group still exists. There was actually discussion of like a Bch Master Class where anyone, it would be a GitHub repo where it would have like, these are some programs and tutorials that you can do just to get started. Like, here's how to create a wallet. Here's the different nodes that you could use. Here's different RPC commands, that kind of thing. As far as I know, there was a lot of interest about that, but the person that was trying to organize it, I think, just didn't have the time available to dedicate to it. And so I think it's just kind of fizzled out, but that's something that I'm pretty sure the repo's still available for. And if, if there's some fire lit behind it again, I think we can get the boat in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I mean, obviously, yeah, wherever possible, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. You know, I think a lot of this, especially initially, maybe not later on down the road, but initially it's going to be a bit more just about collating what is all scattered around everywhere and sort of bringing it all into one place or in some sort of semi-coherent, organized way, to, because that just exponentially like rockets up the value of it right there. So a mentoring thing, and then we obviously need also infrastructure sort of infrastructure docs. So that's sort of existing devs, right? There's kind of those two categories of, you know, people who already have experience and know what they're doing, and they don't need a lot of help. They just need to know, here's the info, crack on with it. And then the other half that needs sort of some more like hand holding and guidance and learning to be a dev and whatever. So, okay, so we got that. So we've got infrastructure, and then another category of what I heard you talking about was the what would you call it? There's sort of adoption hubs. So you said Venezuela, and then obviously we also had.
I'd like to see, for example, 50 merchants, meetups, user onboarding, etc., in say 50 global cities. That especially in the developing world, because if we can get a remittances thing going, then a lot of people get worked up about remittances because they think, well, you got to have banking relationships on each side, but that actually defeats the point. So if we can have merchants, then we can say, well, when you remit to this city, you can go to these merchants and spend your BCH. And then we have a chance. This is why I'm not really a big fan of like payment processors, because they'll immediately cash out the crypto to fiat, and then your economic loop is dead. It's gone, right? So we want people getting BCH, remitting BCH, and then they get it, and then they spend BCH, and then hopefully we can get the merchants to continue that cycle so that people never exit BCH.
Yeah, no, I like your what you're saying, and I think the like 50 merchants in 50 cities. I like the idea of that, and obviously we will like get to that. I mean, we can dream big, like that's the whole point, going to global reserve currency, right? But yeah. I think to start with, I like that I think we need to basically just like strengthen up, or at least codify a little bit what we've already got going. Because personally, actually, I'm not even super familiar with any of these. I haven't even been to Townsville. I know what Australia's like, but I've been to Bangkok. I didn't get into any of the BCH stuff when I was there, because it wasn't on my radar at that time, actually. And then obviously, about all the stuff that you're doing in Venezuela. But I think, from what I've seen, the one in Australia in Townsville, they've kind of done the best job of it, which is a bit weird, actually, because it's the last place you would expect. Like, Australia is a rich country with a lot of good like banking infrastructure, and people are just generally don't have a critical need for crypto. Unlike somewhere maybe more like Thailand or Venezuela, right? So I think I found it, a little bit surprising that Australia, of all places, would be where it is. Although it does, on one hand, make sense, because Australians also are generally a little bit open-minded to technology, and also like they're kind of willing to take a punt on stuff. Like, they're not, at a point generally speaking, where they're, tomorrow they're thinking, how do I eat, and being like, it has to work right now. They might be willing more to just try it out, see what it is. Maybe this is the future. Or if not, I spent $5 on it, like Australians like gambling as well. So I guess that kind of helps. But I just sort of felt when you were talking about these hubs before that we sort of need to do a bit more sharing of what strategies is working in those places, and then also make a guidebook. I know you've done actually quite a lot of work on this, so I'm aware that you've done some work on this, but of like, here's how you do it. If you are in X city and you love BCH and you want to get it going, here it is, step by step. I think when I looked at the stuff you'd written, I thought, oh, this looks pretty good, but maybe it was just sort of lacking in detail or something, because I felt like if I was going to do it where I am now, or in London, for instance, the first thing I would do is I would start a BCH meetup and get, however many people would show up to that. Maybe it would be no one. Well, I'd find one friend that I had and I'd say, look, come to this meetup with me. If you don't care about BCH, let's have some drinks. And then maybe somebody else comes, or probably they wouldn't. And then you run that for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, and you get a little core of people going up. And then once you have 4 or 5 people that are interested and bought into the idea, then you could go to the bar and say, hey, could you accept BCH? And then you already have sort of the customers and the merchant there, right? And people have even done schemes like where you agree that you'll pay back the merchant in fiat. So basically you're buying back the BCH, but it gives everyone the idea of, oh, this is what's happening. And then you slowly grow that, like that kind of thing. When I looked at the stuff you have written from my kind of vague memories, I would have liked to have started from a point of, I'm one person with basically no money and some free time. How can I get the ball rolling, like step by step? So
yeah, we actually have a guide on our website that I've been developing for 3.5 years. That's 10,000 words, and so it lays out the whole thing in extreme detail, and that's open. Anybody can read that. But yeah, and I mean, I think the meetup is good. The thing is, why not affiliate the merchant from step one? And if the merchant says no, then go where they're actually going to accept it.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, we actually start. So the strategy I designed is that we start with a neighborhood, and I had to actually go through 2 or 3 neighborhoods before I found one where this took root here in Medellin. We get a merchant, right, neighborhood, and we're like, okay, there's somebody in this neighborhood. Now we go around and we get all the as many other merchants as we can, and frequently what we find is there's one merchant who is extremely open and helpful, and so they'll be like, yeah, okay, I like what you guys are doing, this is cool, so hey, I know 50 other merchants in the 6 block area, let me help you, so we've actually had that happen for us many times. And actually the place where I initially started, I finally found, a place here in Medellin is in a 6 block radius. I think we had like more than 40 merchants. And so that then we would have, so meetups, like dinner party kind of meetups are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Right. But like, how do you do that in a place where like nobody even knows about this stuff, right? So that's why I invited the invites events. And so basically, like it's like an onboarding event where like you bring in a bunch of people and then you give them the basic training, you get basic orientation, like 15 to 20 minutes. And now you have people to work with. Right now you have people to educate or whatever. And also when, and anytime you onboard somebody like, well, this is cool, but what the hell can I do with it? And then we can be like, well, in this neighborhood, there's 40 merchants who accept it, here, and here. And that grabs people's attention. So that's I found that I actually tried the meetup strategy first, and there was some attendance. I did 3 or 4, but the people who come to that are investor types, and they're the kind of people who are like, oh, this coin's crap, and I like this coin, and yeah, I made 10% on this coin, but they're not users, Like I went to there's a crypto meetup here in Medellin that, what at least 3.5 years ago was fairly big. I went to them and I was like, yeah, you should come to our events, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, oh, crypto's not meant to be spent. Why are you doing this? This is wrong, George.
Yeah.
That's the problem with existing crypto people, is they don't get it,
Yeah. I guess a lot of them, yeah, if they do, probably they're already in BCH or maybe like Dash or like a couple of tiny little fragments, right, in the mix of, I found the same thing when I went to some meetups. I was blown away because I'd been out of the scene for a little while. And I mean, it's in hindsight, it's not that surprising actually at all. But I went to a meetup and everybody was like, oh, what coins are you buying on Binance? And I was like, coins am I buying on Binance? What are you doing? I'm trying to buy a sandwich here. What are you doing? Like, but I did find, though, I'm not as negative on that sort of crowd of people as it sounds like maybe you are, and my reasoning was that those people in that crowd of people, they've already got the idea to some extent that crypto is valuable and there's some sort of commercial element to it. So I found that talking to those people, that was maybe about like a 60-40 or a 50-50 split, where half of them you would just be, it's just one leap too far. They're not close. But there's a subsection which are already sort of primed for it, that once you tell them like, oh, have you read the white paper? Do you like, what if I wanted to buy a beer from you? Like, and you work them through that process, then the wheels start to click. Like, then they start looking at the other group of people who are standing there talking about their 20% gains and thinking, oh, right. Like, and they can see that what you're talking about and what these other people are talking about, it's the same thing, but like it's completely different, right? And you can see those wheels start to turn, I think, or at least
the thing is, that's a lot harder. That's a hard job, right? And you're like getting people to read white papers and stuff, whereas you could just take it to someone who's a bit new, and just show off the app as a tool, right? Just pitch the whole thing as a tool that makes their lives easier, rather than the whole ideological thing or the whole white paper thing, right? Which is, I'm not against that at all. I'm a radical market anarchist. I'm here for the ideology, right? But when like, that's not, I don't know, I don't find that to be an effective marketing tactic, except for existing, ANCAP kind of people, right? And even then, I know some ANCAPs who are like rabid BTC maximalists that I just can't, I don't even know where their head is at.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at humanity, I don't think it's anything more than a few percent that are kind of like ideological, intellectual type people, like NTs on Myers-Briggs, that kind of a thing. Most people are just about what works right now, in the present, in the real, and utility, right? And that's actually our strong suit, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've had a lot of success actually with that approach. Like we've done events here in Medellin when I was doing stuff for Dash, where we had literally like 300 people that we onboarded in a matter of a few hours. Like, literally, there is video of people waiting in line to get into one of our merchants so that we could educate them. And of course, we did that in a fully, we have a whole procedure for that. That's a fully organized thing, where we're not going to take up the merchant's whole restaurant. We're just going to take up a table. We're going to organize people in small groups. So the training, is 15 to 20 minutes, but it's like a group of max, like 8 to 10 people, and they cycle through. And then we hand them a little flyer that shows like all the merchants in the area. So also, if they want to start spending, that they don't have wait in line at that same restaurant, they can spread out, to all these other places in the neighborhood. So
yeah, okay, all right. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, I think we want to sort of get on and kind of cover a pretty broad swath. But I think the final point on this stuff is there's definitely something that we can drill into there around the actual physical. Like that's a category, right?
sure, definitely.
And I think I know because I've seen some of those videos, but I only saw those videos after you put me onto them. And I feel there's something to that too as well. We're going to get into this in a second about a more general marketing strategy. But I feel like even as good as, you could run one event like that, and if you get some good footage of it and stuff, which you did, but then if you can then sort of scale that up where you can get then, theoretically 1 million people can watch a video of an event. Like if you filmed the little training session at an event and then also filmed a few clips of people buying a donut and then eating it and being happy and being like, oh, cryptocurrency, I get it. If you had a video like that and it's on this website with, here's the docs, here's the run through, here's how it all comes together, then just watching that in 5 minutes can undo so much or skip past any of what we were just talking about with people speculating on Binance. Because when you see that, you're like, this is cryptocurrency, not because I know a lot of people as well who sort of are off cryptocurrency. There's all reasons for that. But some of them now are just like, look, I know all these people, they're just trying to get rich and they're just telling me all this stupid crap. And I understand that it's pointless. So I'm not involved in it. Right. So there's definitely, you could break through to some of that crowd with like, you haven't seen this though, right? This is what it's. So I think there's something to be said for that kind of thing. So we can think about a solution there. Okay, cool. Next category. Yeah.
I don't mean to drag this on too long, but
okay.
Real quick. So when I was doing meetups pre-COVID times, I live in New Brunswick, Canada, right? Super rural, as far as I know. Even 3 years after I was doing meetups, there's only 2 merchants in the entire province that accepts any cryptocurrency. And the meetups that I was doing was in St. Stephen, which is it's a border town, but it's a very small town. And advertising them as Bitcoin Cash or crypto meetups was not good. But if you advertise them as parties and
social events.
Yeah, so the merchant that we were doing the meetups at, they did accept cryptocurrency, so people could buy their beer with the crypto. But also we were giving them $3 at the door, and there was normally bands playing, and those bands would charge $5 at the door. So you get essentially 60% off your attendance or like your ticket just for using cryptocurrency, right? And you get 2 transactions there in like 2 minutes. And so rednecks from nowhere were getting to use a hands-on experience with cryptocurrency. And then recently, I messaged a couple people from down there. I think it was last summer, and I was like, hey, I wanted to buy some more Bitcoin Cash, and I didn't want to jump through the KYC hoops. So I messaged a few people, and no one wanted to sell me any. So yeah, I think there's something. I've talked about this a couple times, but getting that idea of like a lifestyle brand behind it and making it fun and exciting. Yeah, there's a lot of value to that. So we partnered with bands. All the bands that would play were accepting cryptocurrency. The merchant that we were at, or the business that we were at, was accepting cryptocurrency. And then on the side, we had made partnerships with local breweries just to have like cool stuff on tap.
Nice. Okay. All right. Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of ideas in there too. But I agree. I think adding a bit of fun back into it, that's another thing as well that crypto has been kind of lacking, and especially since it's turned into this speculative casino like garbage. Like some people find that fun, and that like Dogecoin and haha, like that's very fun in one way. But originally, the original 2013 2014 Bitcoin, as I remember, it was fun as hell, just because it was like, this is cool, we're changing the world, this magic internet money, right? That all sort of drained out somewhere, and BSC or whatever there is now is not kind of like that. And BCH especially is not like that, because everybody's kind of super serious and like thinking about the old days or whatever. So yeah, we definitely want to try and recapture some of that magic if we can. So I think that kind of goes into another category that I thought there was, which was sort of like general marketing, or what's a good word for it? Just
high level
overall
marketing.
High level, yeah. You already sussed these points out exactly. High level marketing, which kind of goes with. I want to do a second one, which sort of goes with this, which is like new user onboarding, especially virtually. So that's where what I was talking about, having a little series that you could watch on YouTube. I was going to do a 10-part series of 5-minute videos. So an hour, which seems like, it's enough to get a decent amount of content in there, but also to break it into those chunks so people could watch it in a couple little sessions if they were interested in, right? Like my aunt that I was talking to the other day, she would want to watch that series, right? And just sit down for an hour and be like, what is this all about? And have like a section on how, banking, how does that work? Governments, how does that work with money? The culture and philosophy. Why did cryptocurrency come about? What's the point of Bitcoin? How come there's 100 different coins, and what's the point of all of them? What's Bitcoin Cash about? Where's this going in the future? Just some little 5-minute segments on that. And I think that sort of ties together with the high level marketing, because those new users, that's the first thing they're sort of drawn into, and then that's the word message they sort of spread around about the coin to everyone else. So I think if you get that right, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and that could be, maybe that could be like, I think it'd be interesting also to pick a basket of YouTube channels that could almost be marketed to, or that it could fit in with, have the same vibe, like maybe Caspian Report, let's see, What If Alt Hist, Economics Explained. There are a few of those that are kind of highbrow, educational, deep thoughts kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Explained, etc. Times. That's an interesting idea. Definitely, I hadn't thought about that. So let me look. What else did we have on the?
We could buy ads, on those channels, probably.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Actually, that's a great idea.
And maybe even partner with them. Like some of these channels, some of the ones I mentioned, and others. Like I sometimes leave comments like, "Hey, I just wish I could send you a tip, with Bitcoin Cash. Why don't you get a wallet and put your address in the description?"
Yeah.
And I think it'd be good if we could actually get more things like that, get more YouTubers using it, because they can have a loud voice,
Yeah, definitely.
I recently onboarded Holly T. Wolf, who I know has gotten some flack online just because she's a Twitch streamer that shows some skin, but she had just started a stream that was like talk crypto, and I got in there and everyone was being that like very speculative price, and I was like, what are you set up with? How can I tip you like right now? And by the end of that stream, she had a Bitcoin Cash tipping wallet in her channel Twitch description. So I think we need more people to have patience and have those conversations, even with influencers in the open. Like, but on the flip side of that, Michael Malice has also blocked me because I've tipped him, and I think he thinks I'm a bot. So works sometimes, works some. Well, yeah, you get the point.
With content creators, okay, yeah, that sounds like we could definitely do something there. So that's sort of in high level marketing, or sort of like general like outreach as a category. So we've got the infrastructure for people who want to build stuff. We've got the physical locations where people can get involved, the virtual locations where people can get involved. As those three categories. What were the other stuff here that we had? Okay, so the app developers, we've got that. The high level outreach, we've sort of got that. the ground
I think
adoption.
those
So
are
it is
the
roughly
top
these
three
categories.
things.
Yeah.
You know, some of the other things just kind of come from the rest, you know, like when you have a community of 10,000 builders, like some profitable products are just going to come out of that, you know,
Yeah.
and success, you know, will inevitably, all this activity will inevitably help the community feel better, and generate less drama, or perhaps more drama, but of a lesser intensity or importance, right?
Yeah. I definitely agree.
Who knows?
So let's say like in these three like kind of categories. So we've been spitballing some stuff here. So what the way I envisioned it, which was not exactly like this, but before we started this call, was I kind of imagined it as maybe having these sort of different streams that we would have here. So like, let's say this one is infrastructure. Okay, how do I make this a bit bigger? Here we go. So like this, or maybe not even some streams, but some actual sort of projects, right? That somebody could kind of say, look, I'm going to be responsible for that. So let's say we make this one white here. So the first one I, was going to volunteer for, right, was going to be this educational series of 10 by
outstanding
5-minute videos. And then the key point with these actual projects is the Elon Musk lesson that you've got to put someone in charge, not just like an organization or anything. So like this would be like me, Jeremy at Bitcoin Cash Podcast, right? And obviously we can make this nice at some point with some little like logos and whatever. And this also need, contact link. So if anyone wants to know in between these sessions, what's going on with this, can they help, they can just send me a message and bam, we're like working on it. And then, in this next session, I will promise I will come back with this is what's happened on this. Here's what it looks like right now. Give me some feedback and or, like what are we going to do with that, right? So this one's roughly in the category of, this one should be over here. Really, it should be in high-level marketing outreach online. So let's just call this like online marketing. Okay, cool. So, and then I imagine it's sort of we'll have a whole flow chart. We need this, and then this, and then this, and then people can just jump in, one by one as they sort of look at it. So, and then, maybe there's another category as well here, which is, let's put it over here, and let's call this like tools. So I think this is where the open source wallet has got to come into it, right? Because I think several people at different times have just identified, look, we need, like, we've got the Bitcoin.com wallet. It's pretty good, but it's not open source. And if it was open source, you could probably just fork it and, I don't know, strip out some of the other coins and do stuff like that, and just make it the BCH wallet. But I don't think we have that option, it seems like. So open source wallet. So I think we got to do something about that, right? And then the other thing as well, similar to this, is the like central information hub type of place. So I'm kind of working on that, and you're kind of working on that already, but maybe we can find a way to standardize that, or I don't know, collaborate that into something that there's just one generic link of like Bitcoin Cash info or something that people
maybe we could like build a database with all this information in some kind of schema, and then maybe we could expose it via API, and then anybody could host the data, right, in any format with any formatting they want. That might be interesting.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely an interesting idea. Okay. So like, for instance, if we, I'll just show you as well here. If I go in here, bitcoincash.com. So one thing that I think, so I've got a few different things here, but I think this is still needs a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff I want to write here, But I think this kind of like stuff, like some FAQs, because people just always have the same questions in my mind, like things like volatility, like what about volatility? And like, what about why won't people spend it if it'll go up? And like all those kind of things.
That's
This
good
sort
info.
of this kind of stuff. And so obviously like the podcast is sort of designed to like draw traffic into this site and then get the information out there that way. But I think with a more comprehensive set of work on this, plus a better strategy for driving traffic into there, and also probably more links out from here. So I have a bit of a recommended section with like different videos and whatever, but this is all still sort of a bit scattered. It kind of, yeah, needs to be a bit more like devs, you need to go here, you need to do this, like that. And the start here section, I'm gonna add to that there, right? So that's kind of the direction that I'm thinking of that.
The fact looks really valuable. I mean, it'd be interesting if like we could generate like a fact that is like has Elasticsearch behind it, perhaps, and then like we could have like auto suggest, so like somebody could just type a keyword into a field, and then it could search through the whole library of questions and pop up like some suggestions.
Yeah, I've had a sort of a thought like that. I've with Docusaurus, which is what I made this on. They have an integration with Algolia, who is basically like Elasticsearch, that it sort of all plugs in and it all just works. I actually need to check my email because they sent me an email about it, like how to sign up, how to do this, that, and the other. But I will be adding search to it, and then at the bottom I also have like see also, and then kind of related things, and then hopefully it turns into a bit of a Wikipedia crawl where people kind of check it out. So I have this FAQs going, but I don't know, this doesn't need to be the authoritative one, but I think we need a sort of central site, even if it was just called bitcoincashfaq.com or something, which had this sort of information. So maybe that's another.
I think that's a cool idea. I'm also talking with some people about building like a meme repository, almost like a, and maybe even put like, because I have a whole mountain of like photographic and video media that I'd like to release under an open license, so that people can just like grab it and remix it and make stuff, so that it might be interesting if we put all that into like one site. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because I think as well, you and we've talked a little bit about as well about like the consistency of the branding as well, right? Like, look, here is the BCHB logo in 20 different sizes and 5 different formats in case you want to put it in whatever different thing. And like, here's the hex codes that you can use, and here's the font, and here's the whatever. And I mean, I know that there is, if we do this, I'm sure we'll piss someone off because they'll be like, I've already done that. And like, okay, yeah, definitely people have done it. I know that there are some examples of that, but none of them seem to have got enough kind of oomph behind it that everybody was like, this is the guide, let's just use that. So I sort of want to take a little bit of liberty because I particularly like this sort of, especially this lighter green. I like that more than the darker green. That's just my personal preference. But the darker one, it just looks a bit drab or whatever. This one's like, it's kind of even a little bit neon. Like, it really stands out. It's the one that CoinMarketCap uses. Like, so I think we should try and get everyone onto that green instead of the darker green. But the font, I don't really care. But we could figure out a font and whatever, but white, green, and black like this, I think is a pretty sort of nice color scheme. But anyway, my point
is it does look good. Yeah.
If you combine that with those other things, like it all kind of comes together, right? Where we're like, why don't you use this? And we've already provided all this stuff here. So it's really, really easy to do it. And also here's the FAQs that you were reading about and which all the new users were reading about. So this is what they're going to recognize as the brand, like all those things snowball onto each other, I guess.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's a little bit of another another project. I don't know if you want to, like, we've got to have 2 projects on the go because there's 2 of us, or a Jet, I guess, if you want to do one as well for the meeting.
Well, I know some people that I've talked with the meme resource meme repo. I've talked with them about that. So they, you know, once we're done, I'll share this with them, and they may want to come in on this.
Okay, all right,
and
cool.
Maybe one of them will take the lead on it.
Cheers, standardized colors, hex codes, JPEGs, all that stuff. All right, cool. So that's one project there that somebody can do. So let me just maybe change the color of this so we know that that one's kind of like taken. Let's make this orange, brown. That's kind of an unappealing color. What have we got here? Blue. I'm already like, I don't want to do that. It's already like a disgusting color. They've only given you 6 colors and one of them sucks. Like, what's that about? Yeah, okay, cool. So we've got that. So like, well, what is something then that you're probably already working on, something that kind of fits into this scaffold, like right now, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. What are you working on that could be in here?
So one thing that I'm close to, like kind of like an MVP, if you will, on it, is a series of localized tutorial videos. So I've selected 25 countries, right? And so for each one, I'm creating just a really short video. I think it'll probably be around 90 seconds. They're all going to have a very similar flow, but each one is going to be a little bit customized to the country, language, etc. And basically, it's going to be how and why to get to onboard to BCH. Yeah, the first video is probably about 80% there. And then I'm going to put it out there. I made it for Pakistan, and then I'm going to put it out there and get some feedback. And hopefully I can find somebody who will help me translate the text into Urdu. And then I'll probably put it out both in English and Urdu. And then I have like 24 other countries. And also each one is going to have information about the best places to buy BCH in each country. It shows them how to onboard to the Bitcoin.com wallet, stuff like that. I don't know. I had to take a break from it. I haven't looked at it in a few days, but that's basically it. It's basically the how and why of how to onboard and buy your first BCH in X country.
Okay. So that's kind of, yeah, I think that I'm already glad that we're doing this, because I think maybe that could sit alongside my sort of series that I was planning to do nicely, because what I didn't want to put in it was, here's how to buy it, here's an exchange, here's, blah, blah, blah. Even any of that stuff like about wallets and everything, it was more high level than that. It was more like going to have some diagrams like, this is a blockchain, like this is what happens, blah, blah, blah. And, it was definitely going to be too much to try and make it, because there's sort of that practical side and the theory side of it. So I think what you're talking about is the prac session. Like if you're doing a university course or something, it would be like, here's the science lab, read the theory, here's the chapter in the textbook, and then here's the actual beakers and test tubes in the, where we light some magnesium on
complementary. Yeah, definitely.
So I like that. So this is sort of like the practical element. So I guess this is already a pretty good start then, if we can have like this sort of combo starting to come up for the one that we have for next session, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got
and regarding the FOSS wallet, Shamari, Prince and I are working on that. I know that General Protocols has an interest in that. We're setting up a group on Signal to coordinate that whole thing. Other people who are qualified and interested to work on that are very welcome. You can just reach out to Jeremy or Shomari or myself. We'll get you in there. And yeah.
I'm going to make you the lead contact on that one as well.
Okay.
I mean, I guess whatever. If people can, or me, I guess we can just put both of us in there. We can share this one.
Sure. And the part of the idea behind it's going to be anybody's going to be able to white label it.
Okay, that's an interesting aspect. Well, I guess if it's open source, right? But yeah, you can just sort of make it easy. And I guess it sort of ties into this stuff with the branding guidelines, right? If we make if we make the default brand that brand, then that's already pushing things in the right direction. So it's already a little bit of synergy kind of starting between these different things, which is pretty cool. So okay, so let's say we've got these kind of 3 things. We got like I'm almost feeling like that we should just cut it here before we go on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm sure we can have 100 other ideas that we can sit around and just talk, until we're blue in the face, right? But just short to the point. We've already got some action points. I mean, we can just leave this here a bit scrappy, and we'll come back to it next time and iterate on it. This stuff sort of a bit more theoretical, but for next time, you can have something to show off about this practical video. I'll have a start on my 10 times 5 minute series. Maybe we have a bit more information on the free and open source wallet, and that's a wrap. Then I think that's
this has been really a good conversation. I think it's so important to have these live streams and talk these things out, because we can't actually, it's really hard, we're all over the world. It's hard for us to get together in one room. And, really, this was awesome, your initiative in setting this up. And yeah, thank you. I think it's great.
No, it's been good. I'm already liking how the pieces are sort of starting to fit, because everybody's sort of driving at the same thing. And I just think the BCH community, it just comes down to the fact that it's so dedicated and passionate, but because it believes so strongly in decentralization and individual rights and stuff like that. I think people we just need to get a bit more on the same page that being decentralized doesn't mean uncoordinated, right? I put that in the doc, and that's a key point. Like, a blockchain is about coordinating things. It's not about being fragmented. It's about having one coordinated history of transactions, but that doesn't mean anybody has to be in charge. At least now we know, which we didn't know before Satoshi did it, but we know that it's possible, right? So thinking more in that framework, because these things, it's like a multiplicative effect. If 2 people are overriding each other, doing the same thing or slightly different things, or it doesn't all mesh, well, then it just turns it's about shit. But if everybody's kind of got the same thing, and that was another thing why the original Bitcoin pre-split and pre-block size war was so powerful and strong, was because everybody was on message. Everybody, okay, I don't know how all these things came about into there was the orange logo. I think Satoshi made that or something, but everybody was just like peer-to-peer cash, bam, crack on with it. And it just all started kind of happening. I guess the community was also quite small, but maybe that's the BCH community now. It's probably bigger than that was then, but maybe, if you took the people who are the most involved and most connected into the scene, that's still a sort of relatively understandable kind of group of people. It's not we're not like Ethereum, basically, where it's if they tried to do something like this, it would just be, what the hell is going on here? Because they're too disparate at this point. But I mean, I do need to look into it. Maybe just one final quick thoughts before we sign off was I know they have Gitcoin grants. I haven't really looked into that, but they have some sort of funding kind of schemes going on there. So maybe, I sort of didn't want to look too much at them for inspiration, because I sort of feel like if you're copying you're behind the game. I already feel like Shark Tank is going to be better than Gitcoin grants. I was like, that sounds shit. If they had Ethereum Shark Tank, I would be like, oh, get me involved in that. So
and it goes with the BCH ethos, right? Because drama and people at each other's necks and stuff.
Maybe we should just call it Shark Tank. Maybe we call it BCH Shark Tank. What's a shark that starts with B? Is there a shark like that? I don't know. Like a killer whale.
I don't know.
The whale tank. The whale tank. It's like the Shark Tank, except they don't eat you. They're a bit nicer.
Yeah. They just crush you.
The killer whale tank.
Yeah. We'll have to think on that one.
The orca tank. I don't know. Thoughts for next time. Anyway, that's pretty much it for session 1. So we'll just wrap this up. I don't know, Jet, have we got a lot of interest on the stream? Or I mean, this is not really about the publicity, to be honest, but I don't know if you've been watching that.
Yeah, I've kept an eye on it. We had a couple viewers pop in at the beginning, but I don't think there's anyone sticking around at the moment.
That's fine. That's fine. It wasn't about that anyway. It was just more the point that it is open source. You know, it's all there. Anybody can go back and watch this. So yeah, we'll wrap it up and just cut the stream and everything, and then I'll post the link on Reddit with the doc that we did, and people can start discussing it and thinking about it. And yeah, so what do you think? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month until we do the next? I sort of like 3 weeks. I think in 3 weeks I'll definitely
let's do 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So we'll coordinate afterwards and we'll figure out a time for that. And then maybe also, I have also had a couple of other people. I kept this idea pretty under wraps, but I already have a couple of people in mind that I'm sure will see this and think, oh yeah, maybe I can get involved for round 2. So I'm sure we'll find some of that too. So yeah, if you want to get involved, I mean, all the information's already there. Just send me an email or get in contact with George and get linked up in the BCH scene. So that's it pretty much. Let's keep building Bitcoin Cash, eh? That's the motto.
100%.
I love it. That's the motto. We maybe just need to put this here.
Let's keep building Bitcoin Cash.
I love it. Okay. Cut the stream, Jet. That's a wrap.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, Jet.